Is Mighty House.
Join us on Facebook Live right now, brought to you in part by First Northern Credit Union. First Northern Credit Union is the only community credit union in Evanston. Visit them at fncu.org to learn more about the benefits of a credit union membership in your community. We're broadcasting worldwide and live at MightyHouse.net, TuneIn.com. We're also on the Gab Radio Network. Just look for Mighty House Home Improvement Show. Podcasts of previous shows available at MightyHouse.net, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, and on HomeImprovementUSA.com. Find links to all of them at MightyHouse.net. You can follow us on Facebook by looking for Mighty House Home Improvement Show, and our Twitter handle is @MightyHouse. And you can give us a call on the Mr. Floor helpline. It's 877-711-5611, and you'll have a chance to win your choice of Mr. Floor cleaning products. They're all non-toxic and environmentally safe, and you can learn more at MrFloor.com. All right, there we go.
Nice.
Whoa.
What?
Look at that.
What?
Jeez.
What?
What?
I'm trying to make it so you don't look sunburned.
Oh.
Did you get some sun this week?
Yes, sir, I did. And last week, too. I've been up on these roofs trying to fix this one building, man. It's just, it's not.
Not good.
It's not good. You know, and the problem with these condo associations, they have it's not in a cheap fix. You're ripping the roof off. Sometimes you're even tearing out the top floor. You're tearing out all the drywall, and all the insulation. Everything's got to come out, and you got to replace all these, the rafters, the roof, and structurally re-support it. And the problem is the guy that lives on the first floor could care less. It's not causing a problem in my place. It's only the guy on the fourth floor or the third floor, whoever's the top floor, they get stuck with this, and the mold and mildew problems, and just, it's worse. So to wrap all this up, we've
membrane. You put a membrane on it. To wrap it up,
No.
you put a membrane on it.
Good one. I like it. Yeah.
Rich.
Imagine everything you could do with Flex Seal liquid.
Who am I?
So
I'm Rich.
So now we ventilate these roofs, we rebuild them, put them back together, and now they're structurally sound again. If the associations can afford it, the problem is some of them can't, and it gets to be a strange situation because now these people can't sell their unit, and they're stuck with it. And a lot of times people just walk away from them, which makes it even worse for that building because now that they're stuck with the building condo association's now stuck with an empty unit. It's not paying and having problems. So it's a unique situation.
Should have thought about that before you bought in one of them wrecks.
But that's the only way they build in Chicago. If you buy a newer building today, that's the way they're built. You don't have a choice. That's just the way they do it. Because as I've got pictures, Rich, I'll send them to you. I'm standing on the roof fixing one of these split block issues.
Fixing one and they're building another one, and
behind the alley, I took pictures as they were building it every level this week, and from last week to this week, they are building it exactly the same way.
No,
exactly the same way as the one we're fixing. That's 10 years old. So,
what are the signs that your roof's starting to go? Because obviously, it's one of those things fix early and hopefully not fix often.
Well, it's not so much that the roof is going; it's that you're getting the moisture buildup, which is causing mold and mildew, and then eventually the roof will go. But it's just all the nasty that comes with it.
Right. So
you didn't tell me we were having a guest.
I know.
You knew we were having a guest?
Yes.
You knew we were having a guest.
Slide over this way so he can get you on camera. And he sat down, too, so that way you actually can make in the camera. Otherwise, he can't turn the camera up that high to the ceiling. So it's good that Will's sitting down.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. He'll get you potted in here. All right, you're good now, Will.
As they say, beware of home inspectors who bring pastries.
Pastries?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So we got into this little split block thing.
Shame you just loaded up on sandwiches.
Hey.
Yeah. So Will does a lot of these inspections, and they're still building this way. So Will Decker from Decker Home Services, he was here, so I just waved him in. I thought you might as well go ahead and let's talk about this because you've got a split block certification.
Save the phone call.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's an interesting thing. We're seeing tons of these buildings built between the early 90s up until today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was doing an inspection, like you said, recently, and down the street, they were building 3 more of these, and every single one, the flashing was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually met with the assistant commissioner for buildings for Chicago, and they brought in their technical guy. And basically his answer was, this is what the code says, number one. And number two, we can't stand there for the whole time and make sure they're doing it right. So, I see the point, and I agree with, Mayor Daley the first, that the responsibility to build it right is the contractors. It's not the city's responsibility to do it. But these contractors, a lot of them today, they're just money guys. And they just hire the cheapest subs they can find. Right. And you tie into it the fall of the Soviet Union with the Eastern European masons coming over here. You tie into it the introduction of Renaissance stone, which everybody was using, like limestone. But limestone would stop stuff where Renaissance stone won't.
What is Renaissance stone?
It's basically polished concrete. It's a very fine concrete that they polish it. It looks like limestone. But we've seen buildings where the roof is pancaked in. I had one down in Bronzeville where I inspected it because she had water. I was driving back to my office. She calls me. She says, come back. I come back. Half of the roof in her ceiling, she was on the top floor, just came down at a 45-degree angle. She snapped like 6 or 7 trusses. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing was, I was working with an architect and a contractor to have them fix it. And they had a big meeting. And it was 7 units in the building. And the people who were in the basement unit, they were underwater for their mortgage. This was some years ago. And they said, well, we don't have the money for this. We'll just call the city, and we'll make the city have them fix it. The building was 4 years old, okay?
See, that there's the problem, too. It's a 4-year-old building, and it's already doing this.
So they called the city. The city came out. The guy looked at it and says, yep, that's messed up. Tear it down. And they said, you don't tear it down within 30 days, we'll tear it down, send you the bill. So here's a whole entire condo association that lost everything, okay? All their insurance won't pay for it because the contractor deal. It's not, something else that you're insured for. So what we have is a program that we go around, we check out these buildings. If they're okay, then we certify them. If they're not, we recommend repairs. We've done a big report. There are certain contractors that we use that have been trained on how to do this stuff properly, and because it's a special thing. And then, go ahead. 1 second.
Okay.
And so then once they do the fixes, we come back and re-inspect and then certify them. And it's coming in really good now because a lot of people who are moving into these buildings or buying these condos, they keep saying, gee, is it sealed? And I'm like, if you build it right, you don't have to seal it.
Yeah.
But sealing is a lot of these people want to have a golden bullet. They don't want to have to spend God knows how much money to rebuild. So they think sealing is the golden bullet. And just like whenever there's a trend in construction, you always have those 2 guys in the white panel van show up, mold remediation, duct cleaning. Now it's split block sealing, and everybody and their cousin wants to get on it because it's the trendy thing. It's not. It doesn't hurt, but it's not going to solve the problem.
Right, because the block cracks. Right. So you could have it sealed up, and then the next day a semi truck drives down the street, and all of a sudden it moves it, and now you got a crack in the wall, and water's going to get in. So
the one thing you don't do in Chicago is build a single weight masonry wall. Yeah. You got to have 2 or 3 weights.
And then you've sealed that moisture in now too. Right. So the water that does get in, it can't come out because you've got sealer on it.
Or people, for some of them, will spray a plugger paint, like a rubber plugger paint on there, which is like you're putting a condom around the entire building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back up.
So go ahead.
Couple things. 1, so they said they're going to call the city. So that just doesn't even make any sense to me. So there's a problem with my building. I'm going to call the city and have the city take care of the problem with my building?
Well,
what did I miss?
Their thought was they would make the city make the original builder fix it. So they didn't have
that's what your lawyer does.
Right.
And that's assuming he's still in business.
Right.
Exactly.
The city would make the original builder
fix the problem.
Why is it the city's problem?
That's a good question. It's not.
So that's just their train of thought. That's where they were thinking. That maybe the city.
You weren't born from around here, were you? Everything's the city around here,
Okay, so then the city said tear down the entire building?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they condemned it.
It was condemned.
Because of structural it's not structurally sound anymore.
I have pictures on my website, and I write articles about this. You can go to DeckerHomeServices.com. Left-hand side bottom, there's a thing called white papers, and I've got like at least 5-6 articles about split block. And I've got pictures where this contractor calls me out, and the crown molding is starting to go in the rear second floor bedroom of this. It was a single family, but it was the same kind of construction. And so I went there and I looked thermal and did all this other stuff. It looked really weird. The contractor opened a small hole in the ceiling. I stuck my head up there. The rafter, the trusses were rotted. They were totally black. Mm-hmm. The gussets were rusted. Okay. The humidity up there was amazing. That's another thing. Nobody ventilates the attic space anymore. Mm-hmm. And, what are you going to do? The ventilating of the parapet is the best way to go. When you stop to think about it, that's the way they did it with all these old buildings that they built in the 10s and the 20s around here. They had the coping tiles on top. And one of the things we're seeing is the Eastern European masons are coming in. They're replacing these walls. They're putting the coping tiles back, but they're just slathering mortar on there and putting the whole thing down, and they just stopped the ventilation. If you ever have those coping tiles on your roof, you should have an opening on the sides where air can come in and out. In fact, I was just talking to a buddy of ours recently, and he has a new way of putting those things back. He just uses 4 dabs of polyurethane glue. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're backing up even further.
Sure.
Beep,
Thank you. Split block obviously is a problem, but is it that the problem is that we shouldn't be using it at all, or we just need to know how to use it correctly?
Both.
Yeah. Yes.
The way
of both, right?
The way they built is a single weight wall. In other words, the wall is 1 block thick, 1 8-inch block thick. They call it split block because they do a 16-inch wide block and they score it and they break it so it has a rough surface on it. So it's basically like a cinder block but with a rough surface. So it's supposed to match the Robeson style of architecture or Greystone or something like that. And they just build 1 wall, 1 block thick. And if you have, or you've seen it even with the 4-inch blocks and the brick.
Hold on.
Where the stuff gets in there.
All right, we're going to have to take a break. We'll come back with clutter clarity next.
Nope.
Yes, and then
tip
Not
of the
clutter
week.
clarity.
No. Oh, we want the tip of the week, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm moving too fast. We'll do the tip of the week next then. All right, we'll be back.
This is Mighty House. Mighty House will return.
Well,
All right, we're good. We're on Facebook Live still, live. Okay. Yes, hang out.
Okay, all right.
You got to get to synagogue?
No,
Okay.
not until 9:30.
Oh, okay.
But in fact, I've got 2 split block water and certifications tomorrow.
Jeez.
I love to do it on Sunday because everybody's home.
Right.
Everybody gets a chance to
Yep.
Sure.
That way you can look right over it.
Beautiful. Who gave you the golden? Who do you think you are, Rush Limbaugh?
What?
I know he's got the
What?
Need the golden mic.
Your head.
Oh, my head. Yeah, the
From his
headphones.
daughter.
Yeah. I'm special now that way.
You
I
are
was-
special.
I was talking with Bob Kelly about this, and he has 5 or 6 new things that he's trying out.
That dude, he will not stop. It's like, just, pick a system, let's run with it. And he's constantly evolving and trying something new and different. And
Well, Rich, I sent you those pictures of that place he built down in. It was a split block single family where he put the drainage plane on the inside, and when the sun would hit it after rain, it would actually steam. Really, he called the house the tea kettle now.
ah,
Yeah.
amazing.
But no, it's just you see this stuff and you go, it's just
Oh, so then this one we're on right now too?
yes,
The through wall flashing they put every level?
yeah.
They put the through wall flashing in about 4 inches below the roof line.
Okay.
So it now drains, any water that gets in that block will drain into the roof, underneath the roof. It's going into the roof pocket. How do you fix that?
Take the block down.
Yeah, I know.
You just basically dismantle the place.
I know. It's, and you just, okay, here's another $60,000 to fix all this. Oh, yeah.
Hi, this is Peggy Malecki.
OSBI joists, and they just basically they grout them in. And I've talked to city inspectors, and half of them say that's required.
WCGO.
Yeah, but they should wrap them.
Yeah, or just
See, I work construction. I build.
It is pretty bad.
I don't know if y'all realize the pressure a man like me's got on him.
This is Mighty House.
We're broadcasting worldwide and live, MightyHouse.net, TuneIn.com. We're also on the Gab Radio Network. Just look for Mighty House Home Improvement Show. Podcasts of previous shows available at MightyHouse.net, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, and on HomeImprovementUSA.com. Find links to all of them at MightyHouse.net. You can follow us on Facebook by looking for Mighty House Home Improvement Show, and our Twitter handle is at Mighty House. And if you give us a call on the Mr. Floor helpline, it's 877-711-5611. You'll have a chance to win your choice of Mr. Floor cleaning products. They're all non-toxic and environmentally safe. And you can learn more at MrFloor.com. All right, it is, we have Will Decker from Decker Home Services sitting in here. He stopped by with some...
Yummies.
Yeah, some snacks, I guess we could say. And so we start talking split block. Take a break here for a second. Let's do the tip of the week. And this is, are we rolling now? We are rolling? All right. Hey, Kev, we've got sandwiches and stuff back there for you, buddy. Oh, see? We're looking out for you, brother. We're looking out for you. He goes to Florida, and he actually came back. So, that we got to take care of him. So it is now, are we rolling there, Sonar? We're up and we're good. Okay. It is now time for the Your Name Here tip of the week with Rich Cowgill. You ready? Are you? It is the Your Name Here tip. Tip of the
I know.
week,
I'm just working on it.
You're just working on it? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, Sparky.
That board would have snipe on the end before it hit the floor.
Yes, it would.
All right. So you're talking about split plate block and roofing a little bit. So I'm kind of sticking to the roof theme here.
Okay.
And I don't expect listeners, sit around at night and, with some kind of construction dictionary and learn all the words that we use.
Like Ron does. I mean, like Rich does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. But, if you need work done on your house, first thing you should do is familiarize yourself with some of the correct descriptions for the parts and pieces. That way, if you rely solely on the contractor to educate you, you're not going to fully understand what you're being sold, or worse, what you're not getting for your money. So it's important to know it. So this spring, everybody's looking at roofs. So let's talk about roofs for a little bit. The roof pitch, that's the angle of your roof. So if they tell you it's a 612 pitch, that's the angle or the pitch of your roof. It means for every 12 inches you go horizontally, the roof rises 6 inches. So 812 is, 12 inches horizontal, 8 inches vertical. So that's your pitch. You can also do it in degrees, like a 612. That's 26.56 degrees. But
what's a 1212? What's a 1212?
That's about a 45. That's the easy one. Your speed square is perfectly set for a 1212.
Yes.
So then the type of roof you have, gable is where you have that triangle at each end.
Right.
And okay, then you have a hip, which means the hips are going from each of the four corners up to a center ridge board.
It's like a gable end roof with the gable laid down at the same angle as the roof.
I sound like a stretched pyramid.
Stretched pyramid.
Stretched pyramid, possibly. Well, the funny thing is that we always tell people is like, how long your ridge board is? It's the difference in the length and the width. That's why you have to have a ridge board.
Oh, okay.
If you got a building that's 20 foot one way and 30 foot the other, you need a 10-foot ridge board. That's the only way to make it square. It's that simple. That's how hard the geometry is.
Wow.
See, that's how you had to pay attention in school.
Right.
So your roofing material, obviously that's just your decorative material that's installed to protect your house from the elements, but it doesn't have to be shingle, it could be tile, it could be anything, but ultimately those are really not to keep water out. Those are actually to protect your underlayment or secondary water barrier. So if you put 30-pound felt down, or like we do in Florida, we use we call it peel and stick, but it's like ice and water shield.
Right.
The self-adhering membrane, that is actually what keeps the water out of your house. The tile that we put on there is to protect the membrane.
Right, and because it's not sun rated or anything like that, it can't take
exactly. And the water, wind-driven rain gets under the tile roof, so you have to have your drainage planes and so on. So, and then venting your roofs, and this is what you guys are talking about more so with the split-face block, is roof venting is extremely important. And roof venting only works if you have soffit venting.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you have to have some place for this air to come from in order for it to get out. 1 cubic foot out, 1 cubic foot in.
Right.
It's all very simple stuff, but you got to have space. Any penetration all those, your sewer stack, could be fans, could be anything, but any penetrations must be flashed. The parts and pieces for the roof that actually support the plywood, those are called rafters.
Mm-hmm.
And those rafters usually have a horizontal piece called a collar tie, and that's what keeps the roof from spreading out.
But you can knock those out once the roof is built, right? So that way you can store more stuff up in the attic?
No. No, because that's how you start pushing the roof out.
And
the
it's
roof will try to say.
It's especially easy, too, when they're engineered trusses as well. Because they just pull the stuff back and they snap right out.
Yes, they just come right out of there. Those metal plates are hard to cut, but I can get them off.
Uh-huh.
So then, you know what your gutters are. That's just to divert rainwater away from your foundation with your downspouts. And then the fascia's the trim on the very front that the gutter is hung on typically.
The vertical piece, right?
The vertical piece, sure. And the soffit's the bottom part. And, that should stick out. We don't build with enough depth in our soffits. Most homes probably built today either have none, 6 inches, or maybe 12 inch. And they really should be 24 to 36 inches. And that's one of the reasons why people are having problems with moisture, wind-driven rain, all these things, because you don't have enough area to vent the roof properly.
Well, that and, it helps protect your windows, your doors, everything else. And so
Right.
it should be extended a little bit further.
My big pet peeve is when you have an upper roof and a lower roof, like a dormer, and they have the gutter going around the dormer, but then the gutter drains, either the back of the gutter is open,
right,
or you have a downspout that drains directly onto a roof.
Yes.
And you avoided the warranty of the shingles if you do that.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to do that. I don't know why you have gutter up there anyway.
Yeah.
On a dormer. It's like, let the rain go to the shingle and it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of
Imagine everything you could do with Flex Seal Liquid.
Sonar chiming in there. All right.
I will tell you, that stuff is wonderful, too.
It works.
I took care of a foundation crack in my house with it. Man, it's just great.
It's the new miracle duct tape.
Yes. And it's roll on.
Yeah. Roll on, spray on, brush it on. It doesn't matter.
Now for split block sealing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, how about it?
Spray the back of the rough trusses with it.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich, back to you.
Oh, no, I'm pretty much done.
Oh, that's it? Okay, so we've...
Yeah, the only thing I didn't talk about was the freeze board, which is usually the horizontal band that's below your soffit.
Right.
Pretty much decorative, put dental blocks on it or crown, whatever.
But
so just hope it makes it easier for people to understand, when you get to the roof, that's what it is. We'll talk about windows and doors and walls and floor structures later. Okay,
so then the type of roofing we put on there, does that really matter? Can we just do, we can do cedar shake, you can do asphalt shingles. They have regular standard 3 tabs, but then you can also go to the architecture stuff.
You can, but quite honestly, your roof is supposed to be designed for certain loads. So typically roof design is for 40-pound dead load. So yes, a 3 tab would work fine. If you're going to go to an architectural, which is 3 times the weight, you may not be able to do that with the rafters you have. 2x6 might be too small.
Right.
So you have to have it engineered. So we do tile roofs. Our trusses are engineered for that 300 pounds a square.
Right. So can you take a regular roof that was built for asphalt and then just start hauling concrete tile up there?
You can. I don't recommend it.
Right. Yeah,
no,
so,
I would not do that.
Or slate. People went, I want a slate roof. Well, you're structurally, your house is not built for that. So
you can't.
But fortunately, you can buy.
Yeah.
Right, but you can buy steel roof tile now that's lightweight. That'll give you that look. But from the street, you wouldn't know it's not slate.
Exactly. All right, there we go. Tip of the week with Rich Cowgill. The Your Name Here tip of the week. We'll be back right after this.
This is Mighty House. Mighty House will return.
Family fun.
Clear. All right.
Mighty House.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've been practicing that ever since Joe Builder was on.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yes, dear.
Mark Klein.
Uh-huh.
From last week.
Yeah.
He canceled.
Yeah.
He canceled.
No, he didn't cancel.
Yeah. No, he did. Here's the deal. Okay, so
Oh, they did cancel?
No, but they sent the notice to Robbie, who wasn't here.
Yeah.
So I found out on
and
Monday.
She didn't forward it?
No, because I would assume
because she was in Biloxi.
Yeah.
So
Biloxi.
I just saw it.
You just just now saw it. Okay.
I'm assuming that they contacted everybody because you set the interview up.
Yes, but
I never set the interview up. I had nothing to do with it.
No, I had this awesome show planned last week, and nobody showed.
Who else didn't show?
Leviton. Two guys. They were supposed to be in to talk about their new panel and that kind of stuff. It did, for whatever reason, the communication broke down there, and they never showed up.
So if you got the newsletter last week, it was a beautiful one.
Yes.
Of course, none of it happened, but it was a beautiful one.
So how did you find out Monday?
Because I sent a note to the guy that I set it up with, said, sorry, I missed Mark. If you want to reschedule, we can. And he said, well, I sent a note to Robbie. And I thought, oh, well, there's the problem because Robbie's out of town.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he had a last-minute obligation. Able to attend the interview tomorrow. Would it be possible to postpone it till June 2nd?
Yes, which it is now rescheduled for June 2nd.
Like, I don't even understand. Like, I feel bad, but I didn't set it up.
Right.
So I never expected to get this. Oops.
As they say in Latin, excrementa accidet.
Meaning?
Excrement occurs.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
But it sounds much better than Latin.
Yes, it does sound a lot better.
You were talking about the proper terminology. There's a guy I know who he has a store who sells home inspector supplies and stuff, and he calls it Inspector Outlet.
Oh, nice.
And we met at a convention, and I says, well, you should really know it's Inspector Receptacle. But only an electrician would get that job.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, that's good. So what are you guys doing about teaching other home inspectors about this?
Well,
maybe we should wait until after the break to talk about that.
Please.
We'll do that after.
Steve Heyer is good. Ross Nieg is good. We're trying to get him in on the certification thing, but no, it's just you got all these young people who bought these condos, and they're like, and I'm keep fighting. I fought 3 realtors last week where they said their people wanted to have certification of sealing.
Right.
You don't have to seal it.
Right.
If
To me, I don't. Did you see the Facebook? Oh yeah, you did see the Facebook post.
Yeah. Were you ripping those off?
Yeah. And the water, and it hadn't. It's not like it rained or anytime soon either.
No, it's just you see that all the time. Plus, it's interesting. Some of the cells are open, some are closed.
Yes.
I find that probably only about 30 to 40% of the buildings of that type do they put in bond beams.
And the other thing they're not using is brick ties between the inner and outer rows. Yeah. They're not using any brick ties either.
Although I did see one where it was a commercial. The bottom of the building I was inspecting for the people who were turning it into a daycare thing. And it was condos above, and they had the 4-inch block and the brick on the outside, but in between was 2-inch rigid.
Okay.
Insulation. So that's something.
Yeah.
As long as you still have to have some kind of airspace, though, the ridge is fine.
Well, there's a little bit of air around it.
Yeah.
We had last Thursday at our meeting for our association, we had a guy who comes in who was an insulation expert. He pals around with Joe Sustrick, the building scientist, and he was telling us all kinds of stuff. It was very interesting. I even got into about a 15-minute discussion with him on a point of physics, which
don't want to do.
But he turned out he was right.
Oh,
amazing. Yeah? I was talking theory, he was talking application.
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
And this was opportune because Lance has called me and said, hey, could you send us some more jobs?
Yeah. Well, the problem is these people, we get to talking to them and they're saying, well, who else does this? We want to get competitive bids. And well, here, call Bob. And they're like, well, no, we already talked to him. He's too busy. And I said, I only know of 3 contractors that do this stuff. And
who's the third?
Don Vancura. Vancura Construction.
Oh, I got to know him. Got to get to know him.
Yeah. He's a good guy too. And
is he the new construction or is he?
No, he's remodeling. He's in Nari also. He's
Yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, have him get in contact with me, or at least send him my information. I'd like to get sit down with him.
Yeah, well, he won't take them either.
Oh, he won't.
We all three of us are playing hot potato with these leads sometimes, and it's like, we just nobody has the time. Especially
is it just too busy, or most don't want to pay what it takes to do it?
Well, it's a combination of that stuff,
Sure.
Well, I always quote him for the vented flashing on the coping. I quote him like 65 to 85 a foot.
Mm-hmm.
So pending.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's tough. I mean,
the ones I hate, and I've seen two of them recently, where they had this and they got a new roof, because of course the first thing you're doing is get a new roof, even though the roof's only 4 years old.
Right.
And for some reason, the roofers take the membrane all the way up the parapet and
up
over
in
the
60.
Top.
Yes.
And I'm like,
yes.
Keeps the water from getting in.
Yeah, but it keeps the water in too.
Right.
Plus, at that point,
that.
the inside of the parapet wall is inside and the outside of the parapet wall is outside, and you got movement because you got a delta.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Hey, Rich, I just sent you some pictures of the building they're putting up right behind the job that we were doing.
Oh, okay.
I'm always fun when I'm doing an inspection and I see the other building over there.
Which email did you send it to? The stock?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh. Yep. No, I got it. It just took a while to get here.
Yeah.
I was at Evanston.
Oh, you go first then.
This is $782
really puts finding love into perspective.
Visit us online to get a quote, and you could save $782. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide new customer survey, coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Here I come to save the day.
Welcome to MightyHouse. This is a radio show for people with problems. Home improvement problems, that is. Send an email now to robbie@mightyhouse.net or call into the show at 877-711-5611. From foundation leaks to roof repairs, the Mighty House team is on the job. You're listening to Mighty House.
I'm Ron Cowgill. The Mighty House team is back. Join us on Facebook Live right now. Brought to you in part by First Northern Credit Union. First Northern Credit Union is the only community credit union in Evanston. Visit them at fncu.org to learn more about the benefits of a credit union membership in your community. Also, AWM Construction, awmroofing.com for more information there. And Fast Signs of Lincolnwood, 80 at fastsigns.com. And, of course, Mr. Floor, mrfloor.com. All of those people helping us out with the Facebook Live feed today. We're broadcasting worldwide and live at MightyHouse.net, TuneIn.com. We're also on the Gab Radio Network. Just look for Mighty House Home Improvement Show. Podcasts of previous shows available at MightyHouse.net, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, and on HomeImprovementUSA.com. Find links to all of them at MightyHouse.net. Video clips of the show are available at MightyHouse.net and on our Mighty House YouTube channel. And you can follow us on Facebook by looking for Mighty House Home Improvement Show, and our Twitter handle is @Mighty House. And if you give us a call on Mr. Floor Helpline, it's 877-711-5611. You'll have a chance to win some Mr. Floor cleaning products. They're all non-toxic and environmentally safe, and you can learn more at MrFloor.com. All right. We've got Will Decker sitting in. He stopped by. We started talking split blocks, and he is a local home inspector here in the Chicagoland area. And he's gotten into these split block things and tried to figure out a lot of why these things are rotting out from the inside out and things that can be done. So one thing that we were talking about during the break there is throwing some sealer on the brick or on the block, and that's solving the problem. What's your opinion? Go ahead, Rich.
The pictures you sent me, the way they've got the window and door openings, the masonry openings, they have no way of putting bucking on there, waterproofing it properly. They're actually just sticking shit in the hole. They're sticking stuff in the holes and just caulking around it and hoping water doesn't go in.
I know.
And that's ridiculous. If I showed you pictures of how we install windows and water test them, I mean, it's night and day.
Yeah, no, I know.
The one thing you can tell in Chicago when you have a masonry house with this, the lintels and the block or the brick on top of it and the flashing, you can tell who built it, because if the space between the lintel and the block is open, it was either Irish or Italian masons, because that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Right.
And Ideally, you also want to stick a stainless steel drip edge in there. If it's grouted, it's either Russian, Bulgarian, or Ukrainian masons or Polish masons.
Yeah.
If it's caulked, it's Mexican masons. And it's just because they're basically front damming the flashing.
Right.
On the flashing, you have a back dam in back. You have side dams on the side, hopefully, and then you have the front open, so you're channeling the water out. One thing we see a lot, if you ever run into this in a 3-unit duplex down condo, this is the first thing to look at. The hardwood floors around the outside edges start to buckle a little bit. And what it is, you take out about 12 inches of drywall, go in there, and you'll see the black flashing membrane sticking out of the wall.
Yep.
That flashing membrane should be turned up and taped. If it's turned down, the water comes down the wall. It may flow out, but it also is going to flow in and ruin your hardwood floors.
Right.
And it's just this little silly detail that caused all this problem.
That's exactly what we tell I tell my superintendents. I meet with them every Tuesday and we go through training. I've got an education center and I'm adamant about you guys do this. And we went out and bought a drone. So after they dry in my roof, I go fly the drone around it and video the roof so I can sit in the office and review that whole roof because insurance, we're not allowed to walk the roof.
Oh, really? Because you're workman's
not allowed to get up there.
Okay.
So I actually just fly it. But it's great. And I got the videos, you know what I mean, of the roof and any flashing details. So, and I'm adamant about that. Water intrusion is the leading source of lawsuits, damage, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
and it's
you don't take that lightly.
It's the ultimate killer of all houses is water.
Right. And then Jeff Merritt just on Twitter just posted up some pictures. Come here, look at this, Robbie. And Will, you can take a look at
and Will, and you understand too, Will. I mean, the old houses used to breathe quite a bit. We didn't do a lot of air sealing, so those homes didn't have the mold issues that the new ones do because the new code requires us to tighten everything up. So the new code's actually forcing us to make the house so tight that we're creating this condition. So it is still kind of a work in progress, trying to learn the best ways.
Yeah, and that's
Ron and I laugh. When I was a carpenter starting out, we used to take bathroom vents and we'd we'd strap it to the side of a rafter right by a roof vent.
Exactly.
That's how we were taught.
That's the whole thing. We're building the houses out of paper because we have drywall, and the drywall paper is the perfect mold food. We're sealing the houses, but then we're keeping the humidity high. I always see windows, and you look at the bottom of the windows, and there's either some peeling paint or a little bit of mildew, mold, whatever, growing there because they have condensation on the windows. The big thing with the split-face block 3-unit duplex downs, they all had Category 1 mid-efficiency furnaces. Mid-efficiency furnaces have an induction fan, which supercharges the flame. It sucks air from the house. So therefore, the house is negative pressure. And you have negative pressure on the inside of the block, it's not going to help.
Right.
So all these little things come together and become
a major
problem.
issue.
And then you go and you got 3 millennial families who bought into this condo a couple years ago, and they have problems. And you go there and you talk to them. They finally come to you after they've had their roof replaced.
Right.
After it's only 5 years old. And they don't have any reserves because they're just trying to run it as a bunch of friends as opposed to a corporation. And what's the problem? We do the inspection, give them the report, show them all the stuff, give them all the recommendations. How much is it going to cost? It costs a lot. And about half of them say, to hell with this. I'm a young person. I can deal with foreclosure, and they split. You go to Seminary or Southport, north of DePaul University, there's a whole bunch of them there. They're just boarded up because they just took off. And, the banks, what are the banks going to do with them?
Right.
And it's a great opportunity for someone to come in and actually do it right, but who wants to take the risk?
Right.
Plus, that's the whole reason for the split block now is we want to make sure the certification, we want to make sure to take away the stigma and to say it can be fixed. Perfect example. I have never, of all the buildings that I've looked at, seen a split face block building with a pitched roof that had problems.
Yeah.
Because there's no parapet.
Right.
Now, if it's a pitched roof and then they got maybe a 10-foot balcony on the back with flat the stone coping tiles, they may get some water back there, but not the pitched roof. No parapet wall, no problem. The analogy that I use is, Robbie, if you're out in a rainstorm, what would you rather have, an umbrella or a raincoat with no hat?
No,
really?
An umbrella.
Okay. And water's going to splash on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going to happen to that water? It'll dry out.
Dries
There
out.
you go.
Okay? If you have a raincoat with no hat,
Yeah.
the water goes down your neck, goes into your underwear, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with these houses.
Yeah. And the raincoat keeps the moisture in, so you
Sure.
stay wet longer.
Sure. And
Nope. Everybody knows that feeling of being all sticky, gross. Yeah.
now the sealers, you've got a couple different kinds. There's the plugger paints that I talked about. If you ever go to a public storage, they all have that plugger paint on their split block.
Mm-hmm.
The others, the penetrating sealers, which have been getting better and better, but they're kind of like silicone for your shoes. They're a repellent,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to make sure that you stop the water coming in, and the place you stop the water coming in is at the perimeter primarily.
Right. But you can also have mortar joints that crack.
Right.
And water runs down the wall. It's going to go in. I don't care what kind of sealer you put on there. It's going to get in.
And especially the smaller cracks are worse because the capillary action sucks the water in.
Right.
You want to make sure with split block, regardless of what it is, every couple of years, have a mason who knows what they're doing come by, clean the cracks, because you're always going to have cracks, and seal them, good Vulcan caulk or something like that, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else, you got to do maintenance.
Right. You got to stay up on it. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody has a split block building and they want to get in touch with you and have you come out and do the inspection, how can they get in touch with you?
Just email Decker Home Services, deckerhomeservices.com on the web. Read the articles. I'd rather have you educated,
Go read the articles on
first.
your website.
And you can always call us 847-676-8393, but not on Saturdays.
Yeah. So is there something for contractors out there to come in and learn with you then too?
Well, sure. We have our association. We just had an insulation guy come out, and he had a great presentation on this problem exactly. And it's all about the education. And if they want to get split block certified, just let me come out and take a look at them and see what they're doing the work.
Right.
Because the reason you refer somebody is to have them make you look good.
Right.
And if they're not going to make me look good,
That's exactly it.
True story.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
You're right.
I mean, there's
I know this guy, but I'm not giving you his name.
there are thousands of these buildings out there, and there's just no way that the three contractors that I know of can get them all done.
And they're still building them.
And they're still making more work for
That's
them.
the sad part.
I just sent Rich pictures of them. Will, I appreciate your time, buddy.
Have a good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
We'll be back. Right?
Mighty House will return.
Oh.
Okay.
Hopefully both of us.
Yeah.
But it's a problem. And when I talk to the guys down at the city, like, well, this is how it is, and we can't be there and inspect everything. Yeah, of course, but we're going to be changing the code pretty soon. We're thinking about doing
I mean, you can still call. I just be busy.
What's he verifying?